Hello, hello, welcome to Mindset to Results. And today we have amazing guest, Nancy Kohne. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity.
You're most welcome. It is really great to have you today. And thank you so much for your time and beautiful energy and sharing with the world today
You bet. You
this
bet.
story. Yes, so today our topic is very important. Every human being faces ups and downs, and sometimes we go through really hard time. And in this hard time, we all should know that there is the hope and there is the way out of any situation.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it can feel so dark, can feel so hard. But today, this episode will help you to know that there is always hope. When you believe, you can find the way and you can thrive. So let's
Yeah.
start learning more about Nancy Kohne today.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. My belief is very simple that never give up. Never give up, no matter what kind of situation that you find yourself in, no matter what kind of tunnel, this dark tunnel that a lot of us go through when we're having hard times with situations. And on my situation, I was in a very narcissistic, abusive relationship with my ex-husband, and I gave up all hope. And the person you see today is not the person that I was when I was in the situation, when I found myself in that dark hole. And it took, it's not something that takes instantly to get out of, but I just wanted everybody to know that there is a way. There's always a way to get up, to find. I know it's overused a lot of times, but there is always that little silver liner in something. My situation was very unfortunate. I fell in love with somebody. I had two children previous from a previous marriage, and I thought this person was everything to me. He came across as this handsome, intelligent, vibrant human being that was slowly, basically pulling me away and sucking who I was completely away. I was isolated. I was verbally, emotionally abused. And then on top of everything, when I thought I could not handle anything more, my daughter came out to say that she was sexually abused from her stepfather from the age of 7. So now listen to this. 7 years old. Can you imagine a 7-year-old to 17 when she finally came up? And as a mother, and I already had a third child with him. So this the third child, her little brother was only at the time Jordan was about 6, 5, 6 at the time that she finally came out. And anybody listening out there, as a mother, I'm going to start crying, but just reliving it, that's okay. And that has nothing to do with who I am now. It's just an emotion that comes out because I feel so passionately about what happened, and the guilt, unfortunately, can be still there. But as a mother, I had everything went out the window. I didn't think I could possibly get out of it when she came out and told me what had been happening. And I was so oblivious to the whole situation. And a lot of people, asked me over the years, like, how could you have not known? But he had took everything. He basically sucked my soul right out of me. I didn't smile. I didn't laugh. I was so brainwashed by this individual. And I was trying to protect my three children, thinking, okay, making sure that he's happy with me and that I did everything that he said. He isolated me. I had no friends. My family was very limited. And I had my whole big world where I had this, great job. I was in school to finish my degree, completely shrunk into his world and his world only. So even in that situation, I found slowly I started to come to myself, become, back to my normal self. And all due to my daughter, really, unfortunately, it's the worst possible way to get somebody out of a narcissistic relationship. But she saved me at the end of the day. She saved me by telling her horrible story. And it took me, like I said, still to this day, this happened in 2009, and it's still a process. I found happiness. I found a tribe of people that I absolutely love. But every day I would lay in bed and sit there and like, I can't do this. How am I supposed to get up and continue on life? And at one point, I thought there was no life for me. As a mother, I just did the worst sin possible. I didn't protect my children from a monster because I only thought he was using me to his advantage and to his power, as I like to say, because narcissists have all the power. So, but I did. I took that one step one morning where I was lying in bed, said, I can't do this anymore. And I said, no, I have to be strong. And that was for my children. And so I got up and I began fighting, basically, and to find my way back to who you see in front of you today. And a lot of people say, oh my goodness, Nancy, like you have an amazing story. It's not amazing, but it is a story for other people that are out there, other parents that are out there that unfortunately have that same or similar situation that I did. There is hope. I ended up having fighting him for 3 years in courts, in battles. And unfortunately, this was in Canada and it wasn't during the Me Too movement. It was prior to that. So we had confession, we had witnesses, and he had two very powerful lawyers that he paid a lot of money to get him scot-free. But that didn't stop me because a couple years ago, I decided that enough of this. I was going to produce my own podcast as well and tell people stories, tell my story personally. I'm still in the process of finishing off my story online, but just to know that you can do it. I ended up going back to school, finishing my degree, graduating with honors while everybody was saying you can't do it. And when somebody tells me I can't do something, it fuels more passion in me to prove them wrong, not only proving to myself, but proving for me what was really important, I guess, Elena, was definitely the proving of to my children that we will come out of this no matter how broken and shattered we are right at this moment, because it's too fresh. We're going to come out of this, we're going to come out of it stronger. I know I
Yes.
rattled, sorry.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. This is really a very, very challenging situation because it's
hmm
not only that relates to you. Yes,
hmm
as you said, yes, you accepted that role because you thought that this is the best way to for children. Yeah,
I
but
didn't want to break up my children. I didn't want to have a failed marriage again. At the end of the day, I absolutely thought I was in love with him. And I thought I could change him. And I think that's what we all, all women think that when they're in love, because they love bomb you, they bring you into this world that is like utterly unbelievable, and they prey on a lot of women that have already children, unfortunately. And we just think, oh my goodness, nobody else is going to want us with kids in the mix. No, why would anybody want me? And that's what they end up doing. They grab onto women who just want to be loved and want to feel like they have a family again.
mhm. Yeah, so let's analyze this a little bit.
hmm
Yes, I think that because we want people to get a value, maximum value of this conversation.
Yeah.
So what do you think is important for women before they even start any relations?
Oh, I shake my head because, to be honest, I had so many red flags from the get-go. And like I said, he swept me off my feet. So listen to your gut. I think that would be the most important thing. If you have any inkling, and I always go by my gut because I'm an empath and everything I feel is in the center of my heart and my whole soul, and I ignored those warnings. If you have any inkling that something's not right, then it usually is not right from the get-go, and that you have to give yourself the power to walk away and know that you're worth it, that you're worth walking away from that situation because it's going to save you in the end.
Mhm. Yeah, you're so right. Intuition. Yes,
Yeah.
intuition. Yes, this is what always is right.
Yeah.
unfortunately, we are conditioned not to listen to intuition because intuition
No.
is like a very tiny whisper that it says
Mm-hmm.
us, but we are so conditioned to think logically and to just be in our head and just
Yeah.
thinking, yes, that we, in many cases, we just suppress that voice which tells us.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure that there were red flags that there should be something that might we're telling you that maybe not everything like it is, and you just suppressing and you just
Yeah.
choosing it because we always choose what we want, right? Like
Yes.
we
Yes.
believe that it is good for us, we start like over talking ourselves, yes, and that whisper of intuition just goes away, and we just want to convince ourselves that this is
Yes.
and this is how it is. So share a little bit, like maybe you went through that moments and now you
Yeah.
remember, or there was something. Just I think it will be interesting to know.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm very honest.
Mhm.
Thinking back now, I mean, these weren't small red flags. We're talking about huge red flags. And the biggest one was when I first started dating him, he preyed on the fact that I'm very kind, and I'm a people pleaser. So he told me from the beginning of our relationship that his parents had died in the Air India crash. So yeah, that wasn't a red flag, Elena. That was a smack in the face when I found out that it wasn't the truth.
You mean
And
that
fun,
they created that?
yeah, he created this whole thing. And when I started questioning it, I actually started looking up, the Air India crash. I started investigating it, and there was a Mr. and Mrs. with his last name on it. So I thought, my little intuition telling me this is like, that is not a normal story to tell people, but I believed it because it was so outrageous. How can anybody lie about something like that? That
Mhm.
is like crazy. So I did my research and I said, okay, there was a couple with the name in Canada that had passed on that flight. So I didn't think anything of it. About, I guess it must have been about 10 months to a year later, he finally came out and told me that, in fact, that was a lie. He was actually in foster care. And he was too scared to tell me that because he thought I would love him less. So by that time, I was ready, hook, line, and sinker, falling for him. And instead of saying, whoa, like this is the time, it's still young enough, you're not moved in together with each other, back away, it made me want to save him more. I wanted again to give him a family that he had never said he had because he was in foster care from the age of 3 or 4. So yeah, so when you feel those inklings in you that something's not right, they're generally, listen to them, full-fledged, listen to them. So that's
Yes.
just one of many. I can go on and tell you different stories that would just blow your mind, but you can read that on my book when it comes out next month.
Oh, great, of course. Yeah. Yeah, so so he used the feelings, yes, that you are kind, and he played
Hmm.
on those feelings to cause sympathy.
Yeah,
Yes, you that you will
yeah,
sympathy and that you will feel, oh, poor guy,
yeah,
I want to replace him, his parents, like because he had such a big tragedy, so I want to compensate. So this
yeah.
like, causing your feelings to do something. Yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And he started that from like the get-go, making himself feel like I'm the one that could save him. He kept on kind of pushing that into my head that I was the love of his life, and that another thing that he kept on saying from, I think, our first date, believe it or not, was that blood doesn't make you family, hitting on the fact that I had two small children. They were Curie was so 6 and 8, 6 and 8. So he began preying on that, making me believe that, oh yeah, blood doesn't have to be family, and that he can fall into the father figure for them, which they didn't have. They only had me, unfortunately, at that time.
Mm,
So
yes. Yes, so this one, what was another one? Can you remember?
Oh my goodness, yes, another one, easy. Again, one of those times when he has asked me, did you ever think of having another child? And I said, well, never really thought about it, never had the situation come up where I was dating somebody for a long period of time that I or even thought about that. So no, not really. And I asked him, I said, you're single. You're not married at 35. That was already some really weird red flags also as well. Why are you single and you're so this amazing person that you're portraying to me? That is also another red flag, ladies out there. Like if it's too good to be true, it usually is. So back to the story, he was asking me that. I asked him back to him, why aren't, would you want children? And he basically said no because I'm scared that they would be too much like me. And I kind of brushed it off, going, did I hear him just say that? And then I went, oh, okay, I just kind of brushed it off and never really thought about it until later on in our relationship when we ended up having a child together and he became another totally different monster. He became hyper focused on the baby and became obsessed with this child, like being even more crueler to, his two stepchildren who, they looked up to him just like their mom did, even though he was cruel to them because they were kids. They thought mom knew best, right? So that's a whole other story because I ended up losing my oldest son because of this. Him and I
Mm.
haven't spoken in 5 years, and he prefers not to speak with me because of, what happened during his childhood, even though he knows very well that I did the best I could. I was being abused just as much as, a lot of stories he didn't know either.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So did you have conversation with him just when he grew up?
Yes, yes. And I think, that's another thing that I would tell people who find themselves going through this and escaping these narcissists and abusers is that to really, I had nobody to talk to basically because I mean, not every mother wants to admit that what they're going through and that they'll look at you as a bad mother, right? Which I already was putting myself enough guilt. I didn't need anybody else to look at me differently. So, being that I didn't have anybody, I kind of spoke too much to my children. They were in their teens at this point. They were 17 and 19. So, I tended to use them as friends to, talk about my stress on what was happening, talk to them about what was going on in court, talk to them about everything that I probably shouldn't have done, looking back now. So that's another thing I would definitely tell, parents going through this, not to speak too much about what's happening in your world to your kids because that'll end up just hurting them more at the end of the day. And you might lose them.
Mm. Yeah, because they're not ready yet.
No.
Their nervous system is not matured yet, so it
Yeah.
cannot take all the stress, and they're not supposed to.
No, exactly. So I definitely own that on myself. And again, you see me here as smiling and happy. That's how I am almost every single solitary day. But the guilt is underneath it all. And it's something that, people say you have to let go. And my current love of my life and my number one fan, who I'm married to now, he keeps telling me you gotta let go of the guilt, Nancy. Like you've done everything. You're a good mom. You're like a lot of kids would be thrilled to have had you as a parent. And it's something I think as a mother, I think the day that you find out you're pregnant, honestly, is the day that you just become guilty. You're like, oh my goodness. And I think that takes on a whole other monster as the kids grow older and as you establish your relationship as a mother to children. But the guilt still, I haven't let that guilt go yet. And now I'm gonna start crying. But it's again something that I work on every day to try to get that guilt out. And it's okay. I'm comfortable with it now. Before I wasn't comfortable with it. It was tearing me apart from the inside out. Now today I can say yes, have a little piece of me that holds that guilt, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, yeah, takes time. Sometimes really it takes time to process everything and find meaning. Yes, everything
Yeah,
happened. It has some meaning. Had some meaning.
yeah,
Uh, Now you can share with so many women and help them to come out of this such
yeah. And there's
situations.
and I think that's really important. When my daughter had to go to the children's hospital to do the never think that you'd have to say this, but it'd have to go through the sexual kit examination. And I remember sitting there talking to a nurse and saying, can I speak to another mother? I need to speak. I don't need to speak to social workers who've not been in the same situation as me. I want to talk to another mother. And she kind of looked at me and was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I want to speak to another mother. She goes, there isn't any. And I went, what? And she goes, most of the time, what you did at that instant by telling your daughter that you believed her, most women don't. They choose the abuser over their own children, and then social services has to go in and take the kids. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? So that was another eye opener. And I remember giving the nurse my phone number, and I said, if you ever have somebody sitting in the same chair asking to talk to somebody, I hope that you can give them my number because I don't want another mother to feel so alone as I did during that time.
Mhm.
I never got a call though, unfortunately, but now we're talking about it, so hopefully there's going to be a chance to save a whole bunch of other women out there and know that they're not alone and that they have a voice.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Yes, so we spoke about intuition. Yes, let's go back to our conversation that
Mhm.
what can help women to prevent the situation. And you said very right that intuition, listen to intuition and listen
Yeah,
all these different things
yeah,
because they flash and like as you said, as he said that I don't want child to be like me, another like me.
yeah,
It means so much if you just listen, think about it.
yes,
It means
yeah.
son is not happy with who he is and he understands and he doesn't do anything to change that, right? Just
Hmm.
think so much meaning in that one phrase.
Yeah. And I totally ignored it because I was like sitting there in awe and like, oh, this might be the person that's actually going to love me because he was doing everything to make me feel that way and to bring him in and to say such a comment, I was just still love drunk. I didn't see or hear anything until, like you said later on, that you go, oh my gosh. Why didn't I listen to my intuition when I felt that little punch in my stomach when he said that? I was like, oh, well, it's okay. You're gonna fall in love with me.
Yeah, it is like those pink glasses, yes, when we
Yes, yes, rose-colored glasses that I had them on big time.
and not seeing anything else. Yes, it is very, very interesting. And another thing I would mention here that self-love. Yes,
Mm.
do you relate to that? That
Oh, yeah, yeah.
like women, if they have self-love, if they have self-worth, yes, they
Yeah,
they somehow will see, yes, somehow feel. What? How
yeah.
would you explain that?
Again, me being a people pleaser and the fact that I always thought I could change people. We have childhood traumas. I never blame my parents for any of my childhood traumas, but my dad was an alcoholic. And I think my self-love came for the fact that I wanted to change him. And if I could change him, I'd love myself more. And I couldn't change him. So I kept on searching and searching for somebody to play that role, that, person that I can change. And so I never really loved myself. I was so concentrated on other people and changing them, that because I failed, I tended to have low self-esteem. So I had no self-love at all whatsoever. Growing up in a alcoholic environment that I'm sure a lot of people will understand what I'm saying, that you don't feel worthy. You don't feel like, you always feel like you've done something wrong. Oh, why is my father drinking? He promised me he wouldn't. So that means he doesn't love me. So why should I love myself? At the
Mhm.
end of the day, it's pretty cruel when I voice it out there. But that's exactly how I felt from the beginning. And my first most stable, well, my first real relationship obviously is with your father. And no, he couldn't love me. I couldn't be loved then because he couldn't stop drinking. And that set the precedence of all the other relationships that followed for me.
Yeah, this is so, so powerful what you just said.
Hmm.
We can see how outside world shapes according to inner world. As like
Hmm.
that inner identity which we have about ourselves, it reflects in everything in our life.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
especially children,
yeah.
if something goes wrong, they blame themselves. They
Hmm.
think, oh, I am wrong. Something wrong with me. My parents don't love me. So this, I'm not good. Yes, they take it on themselves. And this is how their identity is formed,
Yeah,
how they see the world from that identity. And because they see themselves as that, this is what they project. And other people see them. And this is how other people can start abuse, yes,
yeah,
this, and use that.
yeah,
And this is
yeah,
exactly what happened.
yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, so what you would suggest women who are listening to us? Now
Oh
you
boy.
have experience, you have voice, you have now
Yeah.
voice and
S-
you
Really, again, around self-love, know that you're worth it. Know that block out all the voices that told you that you weren't good enough to have a podcast, that you weren't good enough to write a book, that you weren't good enough to actually finish your degree. Block out all those noises and know that you are, and start by small steps. Start by rediscovering who you are. Introduce yourself to yourself again because that person would have taken everything away from you. So you're starting fresh. So, on the positive note, you're a clean slate. And that's something that you should look at and say, this is my second chance to shine. I'm going to start, painting my canvas. I have a blank canvas. I have a blank book in my agenda, or I should say your journal. Start by there. Break those tiny little things that your desires that you've put on hold for all your life and just say you're enough and don't be scared. I think I still fight with that a lot, and the feel the fear and do it anyways. I try to make sure I remember every single solitary day that yes, I still get scared of doing things that are outside of my comfort zone, but know that you're older, you're wiser, you're gorgeous inside and out, and just do it. Just do it. And it's okay if you fail. Do it again until you get up and you keep going. Also, I know this sounds really weird, but for me, in order to get through what I got through, I'm very symbolic. I'm an empath. I feel, and I needed something really simple to make sure that I kept on getting up every single solitary day and showing up for my kids and showing up for the courts and all that I had to go through in those 3 years. I got a simple silver ring that said 1 day at a time, or
Mhm.
you can put 1 step at a time. And every morning when I was lying in bed going, I can't do this, it's too much. The lawyers, the courts, the social services, I just looked down at that ring and I said, no, he is not going to win. He might have technically got off in court, but I won. I won because he could not bring me down, and he didn't. He just made me a better person at the end of the day.
This is so powerful. Yes, this is yes. So what another we can say is just from what you mentioned now that any situation whatever happen, it doesn't deny who you can become,
Hmm.
who you are. Nobody can determine who you are. You determine who you are.
Yeah.
Whatever situation is, it is your choice, what you decide, what you think, what you feel, and what you
Hmm.
act. Yes, so based on your thoughts, decisions, and actions, you will really design yourself, and this is how you can turn every negative situation into positive one,
Hmm.
as you did. And this is why you are here on this podcast, because now you have this wisdom and you have this experience which you can share with so many women who are in similar
Yeah.
situation and maybe who don't have anybody to talk about this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And another thing I'll just add too is something that my daughter, um, wise as she was at 17, told me, this does not define me.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at her, I'm like, dang right, it doesn't define you, girl, you know? And that's, don't let it define you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, we can put everything what happened in the past to be in the
Mm-hmm.
past and not let it to dictate our future,
Mm-hmm.
because future
Exactly.
is starting from today. Every
Mm-hmm.
day is the new start for new future. Yes,
Yeah.
and it is not what happened in the past will determine our future, but what we do today. What
Yeah.
we do today, who we are, what is our identity, personality, what our thoughts, feelings, actions, and
Mm-hmm.
this will create our future. So
Yeah.
there are unlimited number of different scenarios in the future,
Yeah.
and based what we are doing today, with which energy we live, yeah, with which energy we act, this will help us to choose that future which we meant to be. And
Yeah.
when we look back, everything what happened, it happened for some reason, and we can today, even you today, is that a person who would never be here, who would never speak like that, who would
Yeah.
never feel like that. You grew yourself from that situation, and it was your choice.
Yeah. Yeah. It was my choice. I couldn't be silenced.
Mhm.
And nor should anybody out there be silenced. That's for sure.
Yeah, you just told that so many women who choose to be silent, but it is by being silent they betrayed their own children.
Yeah.
Just think
Yeah.
about this. The children are looking for parents. There is only one mother they have,
Yeah.
only one who can support and save them. And when mother turns her back to her own child, you just think how this child can feel and how this child can face different situation in the world, how they can live with that.
Yeah.
If the most important person in their life betrayed them, it is
Mm-hmm. Like I can't imagine if the scenario was different, if I had decided to just simply say, no, I don't believe you. There must be a misunderstanding. Let's talk about it with him. I just can't imagine. Even, I mean, it felt like when it came out to the point, when it came out to that, telling me the situation and the story, it was instant as a mother. Like, of course I believe my child. But like you mentioned, having me turn to her and say, no, I really don't believe this happened. We need to find out what exactly you're talking about, because there's no way that, your stepfather and my husband that I love so much could have done this to you. What path would that have set off if I had chosen to believe him and not her? It just makes me like feel sick. And yet, like you mentioned, women do that.
yes,
They betray their children
for what? Like you just think for what? And for
for
whom?
for who?
For whom?
Yeah.
Yes, that is why I really love these conversations, because this is how people can hear that this situation are happening. Just
Hmm.
think if everyone would just keep silent, and how many children struggling and how many lives are just ruined.
Yeah. And
No.
it's a snowball effect, right? This happens to you, to a child, and then it just rolls. And then as the child grows, what is that child? Is that child going to be a bully? Or are they going to turn to an abusive personality? And it just rolls. Or are they going to be the ones in an abusive relationship, right? Because that's all they know.
Yes, as we just discussed before,
Mm,
when because they will have that ruined identity, low self-esteem, that shame, and this is exactly what they will attract, what they attract,
hmm. And
because
it just,
this is energy, not healed.
yeah,
They
yeah,
they damage, and they damage our bodies. They damage their spirit, and
yeah, the spirit.
see where it is like channels, you know, like
Yeah.
you are now in very beautiful a channel. You are
Yeah.
now in very high frequency, yes, because you grew from that.
Yeah.
It took your time and you were adult. You could collect yourself and you could choose that you want to do the right thing for you, for your children. But
Yeah.
these children, they are not they are not yet so much confident.
Mm-hmm.
They depend on adults. They can decide for themselves. They're scared
Yeah.
because it's such a big world and nobody cares. And this is
Yeah.
the only mother who they have.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I just thought of something else because of what happened to my daughter. She did choose relationships later on in her like late 20s, early 30s that were abusive relationships. And she didn't see it, just like her mother hadn't seen it in the past. And that was hard. That was hard for me to just step away and let her learn her own lessons because I was angry, obviously angry of what happened to her and at myself, and seeing her going through similar relationships where all the red flags were there, but I had to learn, choose my daughter, let her learn her own lessons, and just be there and be vigilant and let her go because I didn't want to lose my daughter by being too vocal about my thoughts about her relationships.
Hmm.
Happy to say she got out of them on her own terms. And I was there to listen and to just be her support system.
Yes, very good. So I think that the most important for her is to, and for you also, of course, to help her to gain confidence and see,
Hmm.
redesign her self-image.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
who she is. Like you see how beautiful she is, how amazingly different. I didn't see her, so you know her.
yeah,
If you just let her know how amazing she's smart, she's creative, she's beautiful, and
yeah,
just tell this every day to her. This is what
yeah.
I tell to my daughter.
And my daughter's exactly what you said too. So she's smart, she's beautiful, and she's super creative.
Yes, this is the energy, like my intuition picking up something from the air.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
This is how it works. Yes, so just tell her every day. And when you tell her, this is will record in her subconscious mind.
Yeah.
You can tell her that she can just write the description of new self-image. And you also
Hmm.
can do that. Just take the paper and just try to just imagine like your best future self standing
Yes,
say
I
in
love it.
in 3 years, and you just visualize like your beautiful life and who you are and what you do, and you can even think about 5 6 people who you admire, like somebody really you say, oh, so good, like maybe somebody is great in fitness, somebody great in maybe relations with family and other people, somebody is maybe for business. You can choose few
Hmm.
characters and pick up what are the great qualities that you like, because something that you admire that really resonates with you, it means
You
that you
can,
have them.
yeah,
You
that's
have,
true.
and you can develop when you become attentive about something. This is what you build. Yes, so when you put it in the script about
Yeah.
yourself, just put it and describe yourself like it is like a letter to yourself from,
Yeah, in the
yes,
future.
yes,
I
from
love it. I
right.
will definitely share that with her. That's words of wisdom right there for everybody.
Yes, and just read that every day and just wake up and see yourself, visualize, like put that new image on
And
yourself, like just put it
yeah,
like you are putting that personality, show up like that. And you are amazing. I want to tell you, it was really glad that we met. And I,
I know. I love it. I love what the universe brings out, right? When you take the chance to do something.
yes, yes, because I believe it is not just one episode which we record. I believe we can have a lot of different episodes.
Yeah, I'd love my daughter on one. That would be awesome if we can bring her on and she can tell her
Definitely.
side of the story. That would be amazing.
Yes, and I can bring my daughter also.
Yeah.
My daughter
Love
is
it.
just, yeah, just 17, but it is, she is very, very, I would say, very spiritual. Yes, she's very
Oh,
spiritual.
that's
And
like my daughter and I, very spiritual.
yeah, so we can speak together, and I'm sure it will be such amazing, amazing
Yeah.
which we can create. And also, of course, I would like to invite you to join our panel discussion at Circle of Fame to meet other world-class experts, because this community which we are creating now, it is very powerful. It is very special
Yeah.
people. And
Wow, I'd be so honored. I don't
yes,
think myself special, but I would definitely be, I'd love to meet other amazing people.
yeah, this is what we will work for on, right? To feel
Yes, yes.
so to feel so special because you are special. Yes.
Oh,
And when you think about this about yourself, because you are unique, you are special, you have certain gifts, and this is your gift now. This is your
mm,
gift to help women and make more attention to this, what is going on in the world.
yeah,
Give women courage. Yes, encourage them to be brave, to step
yeah,
up and to support their children, because
yeah.
they are only those who these children have, and they really
Hmm.
need support. And these women, they have to love themselves, because
Yes,
they have no self-love, no self-worth, and this is how it happens. Yes, so
yeah,
encourage women and let them know that they can do that. They can be
yeah.
brave. They are special. They can be loved and respected. Yes, so
Hmm.
when they get that power, this is how they can support it, and also uh, help their children. Yes, to
Hmm.
be happy and grow.
Because their eyes are on them, right? Their little eyes are watching them all the time, watching their mamas. So you have to make sure what you're doing is something great.
Yes, because everyone is great and everyone is unique and everyone has a great mission. And that is why we get in on the podcast and
Yeah,
also Circle of Fame, to come together, all people who are not indifferent to what is going on in the world, and who can really support each other and be part of beautiful community where
yeah,
everyone can speak, to find listeners and feel loved and respected.
yes. I love it. Love and respected. Love that.
Yes, thank you so much, Nancy, for being amazing guest today.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yes, looking forward to see you again.
You bet. Bye.
Bye.